The Golden Days of Christmas begins its second hour. In the next 60 minutes, we'll hear live Curly Bradley, Bobby Brzee, Bob Cummings, Howard Duff, Sam Edwards, Marvin Miller, Tyler McVeigh, Frank Nelson, Les Tremaine, Lorene Tuttle, Rudy Valley, Viola Vaughn, Janet Waldo, Willard Waterman, and Rhoda Williams. And now, once again, ladies and gentlemen, your host for the Golden Days of Christmas, Mr. Frank Brzee.
Once again, may I say Merry Christmas to all of you who have just joined us for our 15th annual Christmas Day greeting from America. And may I also extend the compliments of the season from every one of the stars Bill Baldwin just mentioned, from the American Forces Radio and Television Service, and from myself. It also goes without saying, a very happy New Year. Like the calendar that comes from the insurance company, in a few days we'll be getting that annual gift from old Father Time. The gift of a new year, 365 clean, bright, new days, full of hope and promise. It's the greatest gift any of us could ask, the chance to wring out the cares and mistakes of the old year and start the new with a larger heart, a kinder hand, and renewed faith in the future and our ambitions. Each holiday season, our program is honored to bring into your homes all these wonderful stars from the entertainment world. This Christmas is no exception as we present the distinguished motion picture and television star Bob Cummings in a delightful comedy written 35 years ago entitled You Can't Argue with Love.
Our play begins in the office of Congressman Ross Billings in Washington, D.C. Now, Congressman Billings, played by Bob Cummings, has had a hard day. He sinks back in his chair behind the desk, closes his eyes for a bit of a rest. But at that moment, the door opens and Buzz Carter enters breezily.
Greetings, Ross. How's the House of Representatives?
Oh, hello, Buzz. I was just trying to catch a little cat nap. Gee, I'm worn out.
How come you're not listening to the radio?
Why should I be listening to the radio?
Why, Ross, I'm surprised at you. Martha Sterling's making a speech.
Martha who?
Ross, what's Washington done to you? You ought to know Martha Sterling. She's from your home state, and believe me, there's an up-and-coming woman.
Really, what you coming up for, air?
My boy, Martha Sterling is political dynamite. She's giving the women of this country something to think about, and the men, too.
Mae West did that years ago. Why should I be listening to this new bombshell?
Keep up with the trend. See how things are going. This is an election year. You want to be reelected, don't you? Listen.
And so, women of America, I say to you that we have proven women's ability to shoulder any and every responsibility. Barring sheer muscular strength, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that women cannot do as well, and in many cases better, than men.
Boy, of all the right tripe.
I am quite sure it is unnecessary for me to mention the thousands of executive positions women have. Areas of business that a few years ago we were told we could not do. We have proven that we are just as capable and just as self-sufficient as men. And I tell you now in all sincerity that, with the exception of the comparatively unimportant social aspect of the relationship between men and women, men are of no more importance to women than they have heretofore considered women to be to themselves.
Oh, brother, turn that thing
off. She's dynamite. What did I tell you?
Why, of all the conceited...
But a lot of people are listening to her.
Why, she's
especially the women.
Positively dangerous. I'd like to meet that man-hater.
Yeah, you and me both.
You know, she sounds like some gal that couldn't get a guy to look at her twice.
Well, I've got an appointment with her tomorrow to find out what her future plans are. Do you want to go along?
Oh, listen, Buzz, I've got better things to do with the people's time than listen to crackpot, midget-brained women who are soured on men.
Now, don't be hasty, Ross. If she ever decided to run for something, she'd pull a lot of votes.
Yeah, and a lot of boners, too. The thing to do with a dame like that is ignore her.
Boy, so this is one of Mrs. Gaylord's Washington parties, huh? Looks kind of dull to me.
Oh, Anne, somebody will hear.
Stuffed shirts to me. Are they all politicians?
Anne, these are some of the biggest people in Washington, in the whole country for that matter. These are some of the people I'm trying to reach.
Well, they still look like stuffed shirts to me.
Really? Well, what about that man over there?
Uh-oh. Are you being unfaithful to your own philosophy, Miss Sterling?
Well, not at all. I recognize the need for men in social life. We need them as escorts, husbands. But they aren't really as important as they think they are.
I know. But there's one thing you won't admit to.
Yes, dear, and I know that by heart. I've never been in love with a man. Someday I might be, but it won't change me in the least. Let's have a sandwich, shall we?
Okay.
Hello there, Billings. Dull, isn't it?
Like dishwater, yes. Well, that's the penalty we...
Who are you looking at?
What? Oh, nothing. I was just noticing that girl over there. The one eating the sandwich.
Oh.
Boy, she is gorgeous. Who is she?
I don't know. Why don't you ask her?
What? Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Why not?
These are good. You know, Anne, I completely forgot to have lunch today. Yes?
I beg your pardon, but I was just admiring your hat. It's most unusual.
Thank you. But I'm not wearing a hat.
Well, so you're not. My goodness, I'm sorry. I'm Ross Billings, representative from the state of Collapse.
Oh. Why, of course, Mr. Billings, how nice. I've heard of you, and I should know you after all. We're from the same state. I'm Martha Sterling, and this is Anne... What? Mr. Billings, what's the matter?
Did you say Martha Sterling?
Yes.
I wonder, Miss Sterling, if you'd consider me presumptuous if I'd ask you to join me for a hat. I mean for a bite.
Now?
Yes, now. I'll be honest, Miss Sterling. I heard your speech this afternoon. I'd like to talk to you about it.
Oh, you would? Well, of course, in that case, I should be delighted. I take it then, Mr. Billings, that you don't agree with my sentiments.
Seriously now, you don't really mean all that stuff.
Well, of course I mean it. Surely you agree that women...
Well, I have no quarrel with what women are doing. That's fine. But it can't continue.
On the contrary, women must go even further, take an even more important place in the world. It may not be long before we see a woman president.
You've got to be kidding. Look, I'll admit that I heard your speech on the air and I pictured in my mind someone entirely different. A sort of spinster who had these ideas because she couldn't get a man interested. Well, I see I was wrong. But I'm not wrong about women's place in the world.
Oh, come on now, Mr. Billings. You're much too intelligent to be one of those women's places in the home husbands.
I'm not married. But if I were, I should certainly want my wife to be in the home. Women are meant to be loved and have children.
And scrub men's clothes and darn their socks and cook their meals and clean their houses.
That's part of the job, yes.
Oh, Mr. Billings, you belong in the 19th century. Women have every bit as much intelligence, talent, ability, inventive genius.
For granted that some of them have all that, what does it prove?
It proves that we should continue to be given every opportunity to better ourselves. Share equally with men in everything.
Well, I think women have been doing that for some time now.
Oh, yes, but that isn't the point. Women have had to struggle every inch of the way for everything they've achieved. They've had to battle men's prejudice, your kind of attitude. I don't think it's enough that women should merely be permitted an equal chance and opportunity. I want men to admit that women are as good or better in any given field of endeavor and to realize that they are more important than merely a charming companion or a capable maid.
I'm only sorry for one thing, Miss Sterling.
What's that?
It's a crying shame that such a beautiful woman who could make a man such a wonderful wife should be such a dim-witted crackpot.
Thank you, Mr. Billings. Mr. Billings, may I say in return that it seems too bad that such an attractive, virile young man who could make some woman a wonderful husband
should be permitted to represent a great state in the Union and dabble in politics when there are thousands of women who could do a much better job. Good night, Mr. Billings.
Good night, Miss Sterling.
Come on, Martha. Get that dark cloud off your face and drink your coffee.
Oh, that man, that impossible, conceited, egotistical, stuffed, masculine baboon.
Feel better now?
Anne, I'll make him eat those words if it's the last thing I do.
Hey, wait a minute. You've had arguments with men before over this subject. Lots of them. So why so vindictive about poor little old Rossi?
Well, I've met stubborn men, but this creature, and to think he represents our state in Washington.
You stop me if I'm wrong, but little Annie smells more to this than just a little matter of principle.
What do you mean?
Well, this anger of yours is one of the first really feminine traits you've ever shown. Methinks there's a slight elixir of love assailing my nostrils.
Love? With Ross Billings?
Martha?
Well, I'll admit I am attracted to him.
How many times have you said you're a thoroughly honest person?
I am honest.
Are you being honest now?
You're right, Anne. I think I'm in love with him.
Of course you are. If you weren't, you wouldn't be so angry.
Well, he is kind of cute. He reminds me a lot of that movie star, Robert Cummings. All right, so I am in love with him. That makes it all the more important to make him see things my way. Anne, I've got it. Hand me the phone.
What are you up to?
Oh, you'll find out.
Hello?
Well, good morning, Mr. Billings.
Good morning. Who is this?
Martha Sterling.
Well, good morning. I didn't expect to be hearing from you again.
Oh, really? On the contrary, Mr. Billings, you're going to be hearing a great deal from me. That is, unless you haven't the courage of your convictions.
Now, see here.
No sense in arguing just between ourselves. We wouldn't be accomplishing a thing. I called to inquire whether you'll be kind enough to meet me in a public debate.
A public debate?
Certainly. That's the only way to settle this issue.
Now, wait a minute. I'm a very busy...
Oh, what's the matter, Mr. Billings? Afraid you'll lose?
Certainly not. I'll be happy to debate with you any place, anytime.
Good. Oh, you'll be going home soon, I presume. The primary elections are coming up.
Yes.
Well, then, we'll hold the debate at home. Might as well let the voters hear what you have to say.
It's several weeks later. Martha Sterling and Ross Billings have returned to their home state. The debate between them has received much publicity and is the subject for heated discussion. At last, the long-awaited day arrives. The hall is packed and jammed long before either of the two principals arrive. But finally, Mr. Billings and Miss Sterling seat themselves on the platform and glare at each other across the disturbed countenance of the moderator, Henry Bisbee, a mild-mannered little man who doesn't seem to relish the job at all. Martha is seconded by her friend Anne, while in Ross's corner is his campaign manager, Buzz Carter, as he glances about uneasily.
What is the matter with you, Buzz? Will you stop fidgeting?
Oh, I'm sorry, Ross. I wish you wouldn't go through with this.
Are you crazy? I've got to go through with it now. Besides, I think I'm going to thoroughly enjoy it.
Oh, it's political suicide.
Martha, call this whole thing off. Call it off.
Call it off? Are you insane?
You're making a mistake. This is no way to tell a man you're in love with him.
I'll tell him I'm in love with him after I've won the debate.
Okay, but it's your funeral.
Are you ready, Miss Sterling?
Quite ready.
Are you ready, Congressman Billings?
Oh, yeah, you said it.
Very well. Quiet. Quiet, please. Ladies and gentlemen, you are all aware of what is in store for you this evening. Miss Martha Sterling and Congressman Ross Billings meet each other in a debate, in which I, Henry Bisbee, shall endeavor to act as moderator. The question is, be it resolved that women have a new place in society. Strangely enough, the affirmative is being argued by Congressman Billings, and Miss Sterling will present the argument for the negative. Without further ado, I therefore present to you for a 1-minute opening address, Ross Billings, Congressman from the 5th District. Mr. Billings.
Miss Sterling, Mr. Bisbee, ladies and gentlemen, you have recently been hearing, and I presume listening, to the words of my misguided opponent, Martha Sterling. When I first heard her speak over the radio, I remarked to a friend of mine that the only way to cure her was to ignore her. However, I must confess that Miss Sterling is not a woman who is easily ignored. Needless to say, we disagree in this question as well as the much larger question of men's place in society. Notice, please, that I said men's place in society. For believe it or not, Miss Sterling is of the unqualified opinion that women are much more capable of performing men's accepted jobs and professions than men are.
This is not the subject we're debating. Mr. Bisbee.
Yes, Mr. Billings, if you will be so kind, please.
She challenged me to the debate. That it mattered very little what the subject was. The real subject in her mind is simply, are women better than men?
Mr. Bisbee, make him speak on the subject.
Can they run your country?
Mr. Bisbee.
Mr. Billings. Quiet,
yes,
please.
Run your country. You know I'm running for re-election from this district. Miss Sterling has deliberately calculated this debate.
Mr. Bisbee, will you please stop?
Mr. Billings, I must ask you...
I tell you, gentlemen, that this idea of women to go and check...
Ladies and gentlemen, please. Quiet, please. I'm sorry, Mr. Billings, but your 1 minute is up. Miss Sterling, will you now deliver your opening 1 minute address? Miss Martha Sterling.
Ladies and gentlemen, and Mr. Bisbee, thank you. I'm not going to emulate my unworthy opponent. I'm going to speak on the subject. Women have not changed. Women have always been the same, capable of thinking and acting and managing, capable of building roads and bridges, capable of invention and finance. Yes, even capable of running the country. Women have always meant more to society than a good cake or a clean house or a cute baby. Let us do the things we are capable of doing. Let us continue to demand from men an equal place in their minds and esteem. Let us not revert to the menial tasks that men insist we do.
Why don't you tell them what you told me? She thinks that women can do our jobs better than we can.
Oh, Mr. Billings, if you please.
How many times have you heard a woman on the air answer the question of her occupation with the timid, ashamed words of, "Oh, I'm just a housewife"?
Sure, we've heard them.
Women are ashamed to have to say, "I am just a housewife," and rightly so. There's no good reason under the sun why women should be confined to slave labor just because they fall in love with a man and get married.
And what do you know about falling in love?
Perhaps more than you think, Mr. Billings. I'll admit it. I not only don't want to see you reelected, unless you change your attitude, I am positive that these voters won't reelect you.
The subject...
And who do you think will defeat me?
Someone who appreciates the woman's viewpoint.
I suppose you think that you could become elected to Congress?
If I were running against you, absolutely.
Well, why don't you file if you're so positive?
Very well, Mr. Billings. I will.
Good. We'll continue this argument on the election platform. Good night. Come on, Buzz. Let's get the hell out.
You go on ahead, Ross. I'll see you later. Miss Sterling. Miss Sterling.
Yes?
I'm Buzz Carter. Were you serious about running against Billings?
Perfectly serious.
Great. I'll be up to see you tomorrow. I'm going to handle your campaign.
Really? Why should you be interested, Mr. Carter?
Because you're going to win. That's why.
It's almost a month later. The campaign is going well for Martha Sterling, but it seems her love life has come to a complete standstill.
That you, Martha?
Oh, yes, Anne.
Why, Martha, what's the matter?
He didn't call me, did he?
Call? Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean Ross? No.
Oh, I thought sure he'd call me one of these days.
Well, of all the cockeyed ideas, what makes you think you can humiliate a man in public and then expect to hear from him again?
But he knows I love him, I think. And the way he looks at me, I'm sure he loves me, too.
Now, you listen to me, Martha Sterling. You may know all about accomplishing everything there is in a man's world, but you don't know the first little thing about how to get a man. I can understand you're not caring enough about him. or caring more about your own career, or winning this election. But if you think for 1 minute that you're going to get Ross Billings by proving that he's wrong, you're as crazy as a hoot owl.
But he is wrong. I know he is.
Is he? Is he wrong about wanting the woman he loves to act like a wife instead of a businessman? Is he wrong about wanting someone to take care of his home and raise a family and give him love and kindness? It means giving a man right when he's wrong and making him feel that he's important, more important than you or anyone else. So you can forget about your Ross Billings, except as the candidate you're going to defeat for Congress. Oh, hello, Buzz.
Hi, Ann.
Come on in.
Yeah. Well. How's the future congresswoman from this 5th district?
Sit down, Buzz. I'm glad you came. I want to ask you something.
Sure. Shoot.
How does the election look?
Look?
Uh-huh.
Oh, are you kidding? It's in the bag. You'll win by a 5,000 majority at least.
Oh.
Billings committed political suicide. I guess I know how to pick a winner.
You're sure, absolutely certain that I can't lose?
I'm offering 50 to 1 with no takers. You're a cinch, sweetheart. Why?
Suppose I were to withdraw from the race. Would Ross win?
Well, sure, but... What do you mean, withdraw?
That's it, Buzz. You can announce it. I am no longer a candidate for Congress.
But Martha... Hey, Ann, what is this? Why is she doing this?
I wouldn't know, Buzz. Unless maybe it's because she wants to become a housewife.
Ross, may I come in?
Oh, sure, come on in.
I came to tell you that, I've withdrawn from the race.
What was that?
I'm not running. I've changed my mind.
And why, pray tell?
Well, it isn't very pleasant for me to talk about.
Something wrong? You're not ill.
No. Oh, no, I'm not ill. It's just that, well, I had Buzz make a comprehensive survey of the whole district. I found out I couldn't win.
You couldn't?
No. I realized that you'd beat me, so, well, don't make me say any more.
Well, what do you know? Now, isn't that just like a woman quitting when the going gets tough?
Yes, Ross.
No stamina, no force. Why don't you stay in the race and fight it out with me?
Because I don't want to fight anymore.
You see, just like a woman always changing her mind. Well, what do you want?
I just want to be a housewife.
Whose housewife?
Yours.
Mine. Would you be happy?
Deliriously.
Well, I'll be damned. Well, in that case, we ought to seal it with something. How about a kiss or two?
Or more.
I can see this is going to take all night.
I know.
And so goes You Can Argue with Love, which starred Bob Cummings as Ross, Les Tremaine as Buzz, Janet Waldo as Martha, Bobby Brzee as Ann, Marvin Miller as Mr. Bisbee, with Sam Edwards and Viola Vaughn.
And now, once again, it's time for the Fighting Bickersons, created by Phil Rapp.
Well, John and Blanche are at it again, married 8 ghastly years. They are living and convincing proof that a couple that complains together remains together. Here now is radio's premier couple, that superb actress, Miss Viola Vaughn, and that dynamic performer, Mr. Frank Nelson, who in real life, they are Mr. and Mrs. Frank Nelson. But right now, let's meet them as the Bickersons.
John Bickerson.
Wait a minute, Blanche.
Come on out from under that car. I want to talk to you.
What do you want? Can't you see I'm busy?
Where's Nature Boy?
Who's Nature Boy?
The cat. I haven't seen him all morning. I think he ran off.
He didn't run off. He's under the car with me.
Where?
Right here.
John, that black alley cat isn't ours. Nature Boy has a golden coat.
That's him. I've been petting him.
You mean you've been wiping your hands on him?
All right, so I've been wiping my hands on him. I couldn't find a rag.
You should be ashamed of yourself. Look at that poor thing. He looks like he fell in the tar pit.
Well, he had no business to come sniffing around while I was draining the oil. Put him in the washing machine.
You stop using Nature Boy for a grease rag. How long are you going to be working on that pile of junk?
Till I get it fixed.
You finally get a vacation, and how do you spend it? Under car.
Well, I'm happy here. Before you came out, it was nice and quiet.
You got a whole week off from your job. Why don't you do something with it?
Oh, what do you want me to do, Blanche?
Go down and collect your unemployment insurance.
You want to get me thrown in jail? You know I'm getting paid while I'm on vacation.
Stop waving that oil can around. It's pouring all over the seat. Wipe it up, John.
Okay, hand me the cap.
Here, use this cloth. How much longer are you going to be?
I'm almost through. Grab hold of that wire, will you, Blanche?
This one?
Yeah. Feel anything?
No, why?
Well, I just wanted to see if it was connected to the battery.
John Bickerson!
Don't take it easy. The battery is dead. I gotta get it recharged.
No, you're not. You've squandered enough money on this car.
What are you talking about? The only things I bought in the last 2 years are a windshield wiper and a crank handle.
If you didn't throw money away on all those fancy accessories, maybe we could afford a decent car.
There's nothing wrong with this car. Anybody will tell you that 1946 was a great year for a Kaiser.
And why do you have to fool around with it so much?
I'm not fooling with it. You always have to make these minor adjustments till the car gets broken in. You better move over, Blanche, unless you want to get this paint all over you.
Are you going to paint the tires?
I have to. The tubes are showing through.
John, if you take my advice, you'll trade this thing in.
I'm not making any trades unless I can get a good deal.
Well, how do you know you can't? Have you tried Madman Munce?
I tried Madman Munce.
Well, what did he say?
He didn't say anything. He just got mad.
That's because you're not a good businessman. I'll bet my brother-in-law Barney could make a good trade for you.
Barney?
Barney's a shrewd businessman. He can get things from people.
He got plenty from me, all right.
I wish you were more like him. Barney makes good everywhere he goes. Even when he was in the Army, he worked himself up to a field marshal.
He was a private and he was court-martialed! Not field-marshalled!
Stop shouting. The neighbors are looking.
Well, don't rile me up about Barney. He's the one man I hate in the world more than that cat.
I'm sorry, John. I just thought we could do something together today. You know the headlights are on?
Headlights? I thought the battery was dead. I must have had the wires crossed. Oh, boy, what a lucky break.
Now you can give me a driving lesson.
Yeah, driving lesson.
John, you've been promising it for 2 years that you teach me how to drive.
Oh, not today, Blanche.
Why not?
Well, it's Christmas Day, and I thought I might drive downtown and look at the decorations.
Never mind that. I know what you're thinking of.
What am I thinking of?
You're thinking of Murphy's Bar and Grill, and I'm not going to let you go near that saloon again.
I never go near Murphy's Bar and Grill. That's the farthest thing from my mind. Why must you always accuse me of being preoccupied with drinking?
Oh, forget it. Have you got gas in the car?
Yes, I put a fifth in yesterday. I need 5 gallons.
Oh, well, that's fine. When are you going to teach me to drive?
Oh, enough. Get in.
All right. Now what do I do?
Just relax. Now, I want to explain a few things first. Teaching a wife to drive requires a great deal of patience and understanding. And we're going to get along just fine if you listen to me and do as I tell you. Now, if I tell you to put out your hand and slow down, don't step on the gas and speed up. If I say pull over to the right, do it now, not later. If I say there's a yellow light, come to a stop. Don't step on the gas and try to beat it. Because if you get away with it, from then on you'll be speeding, going through lights, and I'll get a ticket, and I'll have my license revoked, and it's all your fault. Get out of the car, Blanche!
John, I haven't done anything.
Well, you better not do anything. Now, start the motor, shift the first, let out the clutch, and feed the gas slowly. Have you got that?
Yes.
Start the car.
The seat's too far back.
It's not too far back.
But I can't see the radiator cap.
Why do you want to see the radiator cap?
How else can I aim it?
You steer it, you don't aim it. It's not a weapon. Now, let's go.
Don't rush me, John. Now, let's see. Put the clutch in. Shift to first. Let the clutch up. Easy. Feed gas. There. Well, why aren't we moving?
You didn't start the motor.
What motor?
The one that's under the hood. What do you mean, what motor?
Don't snap at me.
I'm not snapping. Start the car.
All right.
Then stop it. Stop it.
What's wrong? Am I going too fast?
We're not moving. Take your foot off the starter. Blanche, the motor won't start unless you turn on the ignition.
Where's the ignition?
On the dashboard. There. The key is in it.
Well, why do you have to lock it? Nobody's going to steal your ignition.
All right. Now you got it started. Now put it in first. Let the clutch out easy, and you'll roll along smoothly and slowly.
Easy. John, where are you?
I'm in the glove compartment. Are you all right?
I'm fine. You're not hurt, are you, John?
No, I'm not hurt. But the car's finished. Are you satisfied?
Remember, today's Christmas. Peace, John.
Peace on you too, Blanche.
I'm sorry, John. Honest, I am.
Let's get out of this thing.
Have we got any insurance?
No.
Please forgive me.
Oh, forget it.
I guess I don't deserve to live. I give you nothing but trouble.
Don't talk, Blanche.
Why don't you punish me? Get rid of me. Other men do it. I read once where a Russian farmer traded his wife for an old cow. Would you do that, John? Trade me for an old cow?
No. But I'd hate anyone to tempt me with a new Cadillac. Come on, Blanche.
Well, Rudy Valley, what's up?
Frank, you know, my entire career has been in music, emceeing shows and sort of just being popular.
And you're so humble. You've done it all, Rudy.
Frank, there's one thing I haven't done.
Not that.
I've done that. But I don't remember it very well. What I'm talking about, Frank, is being a radio detective. I've never been a radio detective, and you're going to do a detective sketch next. I want to be in it.
Well, Rudy, this is a sketch we did on the program last Christmas, and we got so many requests asking to hear it again, that's what we're going to do. But it's a show in which all the detectives are famous detectives.
How about an apprentice?
No, there's just no part in it for you.
How about a musical detective? My time is your time.
This is not your time, Rudy. You can't be in this sketch.
Frank, you know me. I'll get in there somehow.
Rudy, take your time and go sit down over there until after the detective sketch. Then you can come back here and discover somebody.
I think you underestimate me, Frank. I'm going, but I'll be back.
The Adventures of Sam Spade, Detective.
Sam Spade Detective Agency.
C'est moi, sweetheart.
Sam! Where have you been for 2 days?
Effie, please speak softly and stop popping your gum. Sounds like a cannon.
Oh, I've got you, Sam. Are you working on something big?
Yeah, the biggest in town, Effie. My head.
Your head?
Stop! Are you trying to kill me?
I mean, your head. What's wrong with it, Sam?
I am in a state known as a New Year's Eve hangover. Not to be confused with any